old houses as culture, heritage survey, and assessment. This is for rehabilitation development project. Together to my group, Ms. Rubelin Aparico, Jika May Alidro, and Hannah Anyana. To the implementing agency, the study is well competent to effectively manage this project and has a good rapport with the village community, the municipal tourism department. The caretakers and owners of the old structure will be responsible for overseeing the project implementation, including environment and social management framework, implementation and environmental for the collaborating agency, LGU Pacific Area and Panaon Island, Southern Leyte area, municipal tourism officers, stakeholders, and caretakers. For the project duration, the estimated overall project duration not later than 6 months after the end of March period.
For proposed budget, the Southern Leyte District Engineering Office (DPWH) SLDEO has finished constructing 38 out of 55 multipurpose buildings, and vowed to complete the other 17 more before this year comes to an end. The total cost of the finished multipurpose buildings project amounted to 112,292,000, funded under the 2021 General Appropriations Act, the DPWH SLDEO reported. Construction of these structures is always one of our top priorities, since the community needs them. District Engineer Manolo Rojas was quoted as saying in the report. The completed structures will be used not only for public meetings and social sport activities, but also as an evacuation center for local residents during typhoons, earthquakes, and other natural disasters, Rojas said. Aside from providing a safe place to hold community council gatherings and meetings, the project can also serve as temporary education centers for students and a venue for medical mission programs for the elderly, Rojas said. Location of the finished 38 multi-purpose buildings are as follows: Maasin City with 6 units, Limasawa 5 units, 3 units each in Hinunangan, Padre Borgas, 2 units each in San Francisco, Hinundayan, Pentuyan, and Malekbog, and 1 unit each in Bontoc, Anahaw, Libagon, San Ricardo, and Silago. These buildings were placed in strategic areas in the villages and were structurally designed to withstand typhoons and other catastrophes, the DPWH SLDO further said in its report. NBQ MMP PIA 8 Southern Leyte. For research agenda, improve knowledge products through collaborative and interdisciplinary R&D activities that are anchored on the university's vision and mission. Do research, generate, develop new technologies and information as solution to improve and address local, regional, national concern and related issues. Develop mechanism to ensure that the research results are effectively and efficiently delivered and disseminated to the target clientele for appropriate utilization and commercialization. Support resource generation efforts for continuous and sustainable R&D programs that are general towards ensuring money availability and food security, global competitiveness, and socio-cultural and socio-economic responsiveness that eventually improve the quality of life of the clienteles.
Our introduction: old houses as cultural heritage is recognized as being of historical, social, and anthropological value, and is considered as an enabler of sustainable development. Many towns and cities in countries of the developing world contain of historic century comprising house, buildings, and traditional activities. that have resisted the forces of modernization. However, the inexorable pressures of population growth and expansion often pose a serious threat to these heritage assets, which are seen as standing in the way of progress. It can make economic sense to retain historic buildings and improve them to meet modern codes and requirements. Rehabilitating a house is a unique opportunity to reach higher level of environmental performance and reduce energy consumption. An emotion required for its operation in contrast to house rehabilitating brings environment and economic advantage. Background of the study. Many old houses concerning the protection, conservation, restoration, and dissemination of cultural heritage are being carried out around the world due to its growing interest as a driving force of socioeconomic development. Cultural heritage, adaptive reuse is a restorative, regenerative, and a sustainable form of conservation that extends the life of our cherished heritage, stimulate civic pride and responsibility, and preserve cultural values for future generations. Cultural heritage can play a key role to achieve sustainable development. This focuses on enhancing the impacts of heritage to redesign a heritage for new uses knowledge, for its history and past uses is critically important. Significance of the study. Cultural heritage can provide an automatic sense of unity and belonging within a group and allow us to better understand previous generation and the history of where we come from. Understanding our cultural heritage can give a sense of personal identity. Heritage houses are significant for their historical and architectural value due to the lack of rating system designed especially for heritage. It is essential to develop and validate a heritage building assessment tool that considers its specific characteristics. The purpose of this study is to provide an extensive review of research on sustainable of heritage houses or buildings. The group come up with objectives. Especially, this study strives to obtain the following objectives. What are the demographic profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender, marital status, occupational status? Is the site needed for the rehabilitation development project? Is there any significant relationship between the demographics and the rehabilitation development project of the site? Based on the findings, what plan can be formulated or recommended? So the group has formulated the proposed framework. Since we will be utilize the quantitative design, theoretical framework, heritage, preservation and protection types, renewal, clearance, redevelopment, rehabilitation, preservation, conservation, restoration, revitalization, reconstruction. Statement of problem. Name, address, home ownership. Is there any significant relationship between the existing situation of old houses as cultural heritage and the rehabilitation development project?
For Chapter 3 Methodology, this study utilizes a quantitative research design which the responses of the intended respondents will be obtained and analyzed as to become the basis for rehabilitation development project on old houses as cultural heritage. Moreover, this study will be conducted in both Pacific area with 6 municipalities and Panaon Island 4 municipalities in the province of Southern Leyte. Each area will have 25 respondents or a total of 50 respondents. Given the sample size, the study will use purposive sampling technique where the selection of the respondents is based on those who are mostly useful to it. This involves particularly the owners of the old houses which are considered as cultural heritage in both Pacific area and Panaon Island of Southern Leyte. For the research instrument, this study utilizes a researcher-made survey and assessment questionnaire which consists of 2 parts. Part 1 will determine the respondent's demographic profile. The research questionnaire Part 1 looks like this. Part 2 of the questionnaire will assess the existing situations of old houses in the areas which will become a basis for rehabilitation development project. This is how it looks like. After the evaluation of the research instructor, the researcher will then proceed to the actual distribution of the questionnaires to the intended respondents either in person or through different social media platforms. After all the respondents are able to finish answering it, the same will be retrieved on or after a day and will be subjected to data analysis and interpretation. Basically, this study will use descriptive statistical tools like the use of bar or pie graph to visualize the frequency of respondents' response on their demographic profile. Another tool to be used will be Spearman's Rule, which will assess if the site needs further rehabilitation development and determine the relationship between existing situations of old houses as cultural heritage, including its architectural, historical value, and the rehabilitation development project. I think that would be all. Thank you for listening. Have a blessed day, everyone.